Hi, welcome to Seeds of Promise Flower Farm. My name is Jackie Smith. This is my husband Chip Smith, and we're going to spend a little bit of time today letting you know our plans for our flower farm for 2024.
So Jackie, tell me, why did you want to start You Pick Cut Flower Farm?
That seed got planted for me probably 5 or 6 years ago. I had a customer at the nursery that I used to work for, and they came in and were telling me about the farmers market that they sold flowers at, and she made the comment to me that everybody should be able to afford flowers. That they bring so much joy and beauty that they should be made affordable for everybody. And that just was a spark for me. It always makes me feel good to have fresh cut flowers in my house. And I thought, well, how can we do that for others and make it affordable so that the college student, the single mom, anybody can have that beauty in their house and make it affordable. Of course, sunflowers, when you talk to everybody, sunflowers are always their favorite. I mean, there's nothing more beautiful than sunflowers. They just bring a pop of joy to the room, and they're big and they're bold. And just seeing the different varieties, even this year we did a variety pack just to add some beauty to our existing blueberry farm. And just seeing what's in there, like this one, it looks like, it literally looks like a sunset. And then you've got these bright cherry yellow ones, and the various sizes are great because they cater to whatever you're doing. If it's a big arrangement, you can have a big one. If it's a smaller arrangement, so I can pick some of those little side shoots from the branching. Zinnias, everybody likes those as well. They're easy to grow. So that's something I did this year, and I will continue to do next year. Those are just staples, sunflowers, zinnias. I've also got some perennial daisies that have held up really well and lasted a long time this year. So those are three just right off the top that we will be growing. And then also some of your filler stuff. Mrs. Burns' basils is one that we have started this year. It hasn't gotten big enough to cut, so that'll be something I get to play with. And then, of course, status, some of those things that hold up really well in a long vase life. That's really my goal, is beauty and long vase life, because I don't want you to get home with a vase of flowers in 2 days and they already look bad. My hope is you have at least 7 to 10 days of vase life once they get home. I know you've got some after doing some research that you want us to grow. What are your favorites?
Okay, so I really like the Lysianthus. And I understand that they're kind of hard to grow, and we'll probably order plugs for those. But all the YouTube channels that we've researched and we've seen the pros and cons of growing the Lysianthus. But I really like the way those look. And of course, I like the sunflowers. I like the variety that you get in sunflowers, and that there are so many varieties. I like the fall color sunflowers. They really, for whatever reason, they really stand out to me. But so sunflowers, I like the zinnias, but yeah, the Lysianthus. I know you talked about maybe not growing those the first year, but I think we may I may persuade her to at least put in a row of Lysianthus for next year.
Yeah. Also, too, I was just thinking about it. One of my favorites is Gomphrena. We've got the fireworks growing this year, and it's beautiful. It's that just pink with little pops of yellow on the end, and that just helps to feel and give that different texture to a bouquet. So you always want to have a good mixture of those. So those are things that we'll spend time this winter really deciding, okay, what's our favorite for our climate. We're in 7B in North Carolina. So we just have to see what works for our climate and what grows well in this heavy clay soil. So I don't know if you can see it in the background, but it is truly red clay soil. So some of that will determine what does well in our area. And of course, dahlias. We've started some dahlias this year.
Yeah.
And so the beetles have been horrible this year. So
The June
yeah,
bugs.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
June bugs are awful this
yeah.
year. They've wreaked havoc on our blueberries in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the Japanese beetles have been really bad this year.
Yep.
I have some flowers just in my bed behind us that I had to cut them all the way back down because the beetles had really, and we really do our best not to do any pesticides because we love having the pollinators and we don't want to do anything to
Yeah.
endanger them. So, with that being said, sometimes we just tolerate it for the short season that they are, and hopefully we have our beneficials come in and overcome anything that's become a problem. So that's something that's going to be a learning curve for us.
Yeah, and I think just keeping the garden weeded really helps in that. I've noticed that in the blueberries. We really try to keep the weeds down in that, keep the grass mowed, which helps with pest pressure.
Hmm.
Let's talk about what we're going to have to really do a lot of work on. And we talked about the red clay and the field that we're going to be planting in for 2024 has really not had anything grown in it other than weeds for the last 11 years.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
before that, it was uh, partially wooded area, and we had it all cleared. And so some of the topsoil, I'm sure, what hasn't eroded was originally uh, the top layer was pushed off by a dozer. So we're going to have to use a lot of soil conditioner, a lot of um,
Compost.
compost to get the soil to where it's fertile. I mean, we've got sunflowers growing in it now, and where they just aren't doing very well. And I know it's because the soil is just not very good. And so we're going to really have to amend that this year. And so that's going to take some work, well, from now till next spring. So that's something we're going to have to deal with.
Hmm. Right. So we also been fortunate enough to get a large amount of pine chips uh, or wood chips from a local wood tree trimming forestry truck. And so we will be amending, topping them off with that. That will help to break down over time and to
Yeah.
help amend the soil, keep down weeds and erosion. So we're doing all those things starting as soon as the sunflowers, we see what they do this year. And then after that, we'll start doing everything we can to get the soil prepped and ready for next year.
We got to get our irrigation. That's something else we've got to do. There's a long laundry list of things we've got to get done before next year. We did get the the main pipe in,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got water to the area that we're going to be planting flowers in. But we're going to have to run some feeders out for our drip irrigation. And so we'll get that done probably late fall, maybe even during the winter. We'll work on getting that ready to put drip irrigation in next year. And we've got to get our we've got we're on a slope, so we're in Hickory, North Carolina. We're considered close to the foothills, so everything we've got here runs downhill. And of course, when it rains heavy, we get a lot of erosion down in that area. And so we're going to really have to work on diverting some water. And so we've got that to deal with. We've done a temporary job with it right now just so that we can stop any erosion from here on out. But we've dealt with it okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
better than what it was.
yeah. We had 1 week in June that we had rain every day, and we're
Every
not
day.
talking about a drizzle. It was torrential rains, and Chip got ahead of it after the first day of it. We realized how much washing we were having on this field behind us. And he got ahead of it and was able to dig a trench and get it diverted. So I can't imagine what it would have looked like if he hadn't have done that. It would have been half the field gone. So, fortunately, that's something he had enough foresight to do.
Let's talk about why we're doing U-pick over maybe selling at a farmer's market.
Um, so we have a good farmers market in Hickory. It's really well done. We have great attendance, but anytime we're there, we're also away from the farm. So you have to decide, okay, what's your time worth being there versus here at the farm? And we already have our blueberry farm that's established. We started in 2012, and we have a good following, a good amount of customers that already come out for our blueberry farm, and we've been talking about this to them for a few years. Whenever they would stop by, we would, they'd ask, and we would let them know what's coming up, and this is something we've been planning. So they've shown a lot of interest, and instead of having, we are a good 20 minutes from our downtown where they have the farmers market, so it really enables the people who live in this area to stop by. I've already had a few friends that would say, hey, I've got somebody in the hospital, I have somebody going through a tough time, I want to get them a small bouquet of flowers, I just want to give them something to encourage them. So we've already been able to do that this year, and that's something I hope we get to grow doing. Just giving me a call, a text, and saying, hey, I need this available, can you get this ready for me? And that way they can cater what they want and just say, hey, they let me know they want some colorful and bright and cheerful, just something to encourage and to brighten somebody's day. So that's what kind of really moves my heart, is just knowing that the flowers that we grow help to make somebody else's day better. And part of that, as far as, I mentioned that going to the farmer's market, we would have to be out late in the evening on Friday night getting all this pre-cut and ready and packaged. And so that's time away from that we get to spend on the farm getting things done and ready. So it just seems like a natural fit, since we already have so many people who already come to our farm for other things, to just kind of blend those. And it extends our season to have people come out after blueberry season is ended. We have hopes. We have a large building that was once our warehouse next to us. So our hopes are to do parties. Just like you would go and have a paint class with friends, we want to do that as just a fun activity for friends to do something. Come out to the farm. We do a quick tutorial on when to pick flowers, at what stage to pick flowers, how to condition them after you picked them, because every flower needs something different. Like just for example, on the sunflowers, they need to be closed when you pick them so that they do have that extended base life. If you pick them wide open and they've been that day for a day or two, then you're not going to have as long a base life, because the bees have already gotten to them, pollinated them. So just teaching people at what stage, because every flower has its own unique cutting. Zinnias, you're supposed to shake those and see if the stem is firm, because if you pick them and they've got a weak stem, you bring them in and then they're wilted and the heads flop over. So it's just education on how to cut those. And so we would walk out in the field, cut those flowers, take them in, and then we would have the class on how to condition them to make them last longer. They usually need to stay inside and stay cool and dark for a period of time before you introduce them into the setting that you're going to be in. So that's my hope, is to just really give an opportunity for friends to come together, have an experience together, and then go to the workshop and put those vases together and make them beautiful, something they can take home. And what they've learned not only applies to here at the farm, but it also applies to their backyard. Yeah. If they've got zinnias growing in their backyard, I want them to last as long at their house as they do when they are picking them from here. So it's just to encourage people, not only here, but also in their backyard, to enjoy what they already have.
Let's talk a little bit about what are some of the concerns that we may have, or challenges that we may have next year as we're diving into this new adventure. So what do you think some of the challenges are going to be?
Well, hopefully we're going to be able to look at frost dates and be able to work around that. So we'll be starting seed trays inside so that we're not having to worry about those, being affected by the frost. So hopefully we can time that right and get the flowers out. But you still always have that risk once you put them out. In North Carolina, you just never know. You can have 90-degree weather one day and for 70-degree weather another day. I remember back the end of May, we had a day that was rainy and in the 50s. You don't normally have that in here. So you just never know about North Carolina. The swing is so broad in any time. So weather is always an issue. And you just want to be, ahead of that. So maybe that's something we need to have, maybe some low tunnels to help protect those tender flowers once we first get them planted, in case we do have a late frost or unexpected frost after we get planted.
Yeah, our frost date I think is what, April 15th?
Yeah, that's
April
the average.
15th.
But nothing's average.
Nothing's average in North Carolina. I can remember in the past I had a snow gun, and I actually made snow on April 19th.
Which was Easter weekend.
Yeah, it was like 23 degrees or something like that. So we can get some really cold weather, even up into May. So it's always a gamble when you're planting stuff here in North Carolina.
Right. The other thing is pest pressure or bug pressure. We right now, that's a learning, like I said earlier, that's a learning curve for us. We've always tried to put beneficial bugs out whenever it's possible. So we may do some of that, and it's just kind of keeping an eye on it. So this year, Japanese beetles have been bad. In the last few weeks, we've noticed a lot of June bugs.
Yeah.
So those are always a challenge with any flower farmer. I heard Sunflower Seed say that he was a professional gambler because he was a flower farmer. He was a professional flower farmer, so that made him a professional gambler, because you just never know what's going to happen. You could have wind, storm, weather is always an issue. And for us, it's still a learning curve on getting our soil right. So that's, we've talked about that a little, of getting that prepared. So some of that's going to be a learning curve, and we understand that. So we understand it's not going to be an immediate, we're not going to have everything 100% correct the first year. And I'm listening to other people 10 years later, they still don't have everything 100% figured out. So
yeah, and I think, we've had a lot of experience with blueberries and the pest pressure that we have on those, which is not a lot, but it is something that we have to deal with every year. And like I said earlier, I think keeping the area manicured helps a lot. And I know a lot of people have issues with deer, and of course we don't have a whole lot of deer pressure, but we do have a lot of turkey pressure. The last few days there have been turkeys down in the blueberries and eating the blueberries that are on the ground, which is fine. But we've got a lot of turkeys here, and so that's something we may have to deal with flowers next year. I know turkeys can eat young seedlings, and so that's maybe something we have to deal with next year.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, fortunately, that we have two things on our side with deer. We have, you may have heard her walking around panting. Bela, our dog, she is really good to keep everything chased away. She's kind of on guard all the time, and she's getting a little age on her. She's not as fast as she used to be, but if there's something out there, she's going to keep it run off. So that's one advantage. The other advantage is we do have at least probably 14 acres of wooded property still behind us. So hopefully they're happy there instead of coming in and munching on our flowers. So hopefully, as long as we can keep them in an area that's naturalized, and they'll stay there and just kind of at bay.
Yeah, I really don't want to have to put up a deer fence, but we may. We'll have to see. Right. Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful afternoon and watching our video. We'll continue to put out content here and there. I know the closer we get to getting the flowers in the ground next year, there'll be a lot of content, but we'll kind of keep you abreast of the different projects that we've got to get to that point, with the irrigation, getting the soil corrected, all those things. We'll let you know what we've done in some videos coming up over the next few months, and we'll try to put out as much content as we can
Right.
to keep you abreast of that.
And part of that will be, you know, we talked about having a workshop for those. So it's going to be a project to get our workshop cleared out and ready. So we'll kind of keep you posted on that. It's pretty warm in there right now.
Yeah.
So we probably will wait for some of those for the fall once the weather cools off a little bit, and kind of keep you posted on that and let you see what progress we're making. And we love to hear any suggestions, comments you have about it as well.
Well, I guess the only other thing to say is thank you again. And if you liked our content today, if you would like to subscribe, hit the bell and so you get notifications, and give the video a like, and leave us some comments underneath that of things that you would like to see us do in the future, some content. And we thank you again. What is and we're getting some wood chips.
We were trying to figure out what that loud noise was.
Yeah, we've got wood chips coming in right now, so that's we love getting our wood chips.